Hello, everyone, and a very warm welcome to yet another session of Illuminate, where Meritto brings to you enlightening topics and around use of technology, effective marketing strategies, communication strategies, team structuring, efficient outreach, and many other areas, with an only objective of ensuring that you may grow your admissions while optimizing costs. And this session in particular is very special because of two reasons. One is the topic in itself, and two, the today's speaker, Ashish Gupta. Ashish is not only an admissions and outreach champion, a friend, but also an award winning author to multiple books. Currently serving as Director of Admissions and Outreach at RV University in Bangalore, Ashish has more than a decade experience in scaling admissions for many top brands in the country. More about his journey from the guest himself. Welcome, Ashish.
Thanks a lot, Suraj. Thank you so much for giving me this platform and allowing me to speak here. Suraj, uh, I started in higher education not by planning, but by an accident, right? And this has led to this entire journey. What happens is, if you see today, I often talk this, I often emphasize on that do we have an MBA in admissions? No. When you go to a business school, you do MBA in marketing or higher education or HR or something. But admissions and outreach being such a critical role, you don't do much, right? So what happened is in 2011 when I completed my MBA, because of working in graduation, I worked for 2 to 3 years as an English speaking coach. So
Really?
this company called Teach Next hired me just because they saw in my profile that I can speak English. Right. So I got into Teach Next and spent good 1 year learning how school works. And we were in smart class business. Now, what happened in smart class business, I learned to deal with schools and I stepped into education industry. Then I moved to this company called Educom Solution, which were in smart classes. So
Yep.
Educom was the market leader in smart class. So that is where I got into formal education. We were working with premium clients from 2012 to 2014. I was working with Educom and got to learn a lot about the education system. Then, of course, going forward, I worked with Career Launcher, then Jagran Lake City University, OP Jindal Global University. Fast forward today with RV University. So in last 13, 14 years, I moved from school education system to higher education. Now, what happened is there are two, three things which are critical for me. I come from UP and my education till graduation, you'll not believe, was in Hindi.
Really?
So I come from a small town, but not just a small town, but from Hindi medium till
Mhm.
graduation. Now, what happens is I was driven by curiosity. So one of the things that happened best in my life is I picked this book by Dale Carnegie called How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Okay.
That became a game changer in my journey. I not just realized that how important people skills are, but I also realized how important English is. So in my graduation first year, I completed about first 100 personal development books, got into books, and that exactly is where my journey to curiosity began. It
That's
took
very interesting. Yeah, nobody's, first
yeah.
of all, I must tell you, actually, nobody's going to believe if you have, the way that you talk and the presentations I've saw you giving, nobody's going to believe that you have been into a Hindi medium school.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
In my class, sixth, seventh, my school fee was 6 rupees.
Oh, okay.
I am coming from typical Hindi medium Sarkari school background.
That's very inspiring. Yeah.
Yeah. So what happened is I got into books, and this book thing what drove my curiosity to from 100 to 200, 300, 500. Till my MBA, I think I had completed almost 1,000 books because there's nothing else I wanted in my life except books. And
Mhm.
somehow I saw my life is around books. When I got into job, of course, I did my MBA and then got into jobs, everything else. But somehow I was somewhere stuck in books. But I don't know
Mhm.
what to do, how to drive this energy. Until 2017, when I was working in Career Launcher, and in Career Launcher, because you sell law and MBA courses,
Yeah.
you are going to colleges, selling your courses, bringing students to your centers. I was the regional manager for Central India, so I was working for MP, CG, Gujarat, and Maharashtra.
Mhm.
That is where I realized, yeah, if I can do something, I can talk about marketing. And
Mhm.
I wrote a small book of 100 pages called 13 Marketing Strategies in 2017.
And that too was for specifically education?
No, not for education. It was a general marketing
Okay.
for any industry, anywhere you can apply. Because that time I also didn't know that I'll continue in education. I was still exploring and thinking that why am I stuck in education? Can I not go to FMCG or some other career which is growing, or probably IT? Can I go and sell IT products? So
Mm-hmm.
last 7 years, I got a lot of insights, a lot of things, but there was a lot of distraction also. So it was not easy. And I'll tell you, when I talk about my books, you will see how last 7 years came from distraction to focus. So what happened is my second book was actually the one of the most featured book, which is referred by MBA students, called Modern Marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what I completed in 2019.
Fantastic, yeah.
Yeah. But then Modern Marketing is done. I wanted to do something bigger. Okay. So in 2019, if you remember, Modi government came and they were giving Padma awards to a lot of people who were coming from common ground.
Mm-hmm.
And they were calling it People's Padma.
Yeah.
That gave me one idea that in our country, we worship celebrities. Why can't we do something better? And I wrote this book called Celebrate the Real Celebrities. And
Wow,
for this
that's the
book,
third book after the
this is the
13 page
third
book
book.
that you wrote.
So for this book, Prime Minister himself has written a message.
I didn't get that point. For this book, you said?
Prime Minister Modi himself has written a message for this book. If you see
Oh,
top
that's fantastic,
line,
yeah.
it's a message from Modi
Amazing. Many,
because
many
it is written
congratulations
for
to you.
Padma awardees. And the
That's
book is
amazing.
called Celebrate the Real Celebrities.
Wow.
We came to 2021. Now 2020, 2021, was the COVID period. We all were sitting at home. A lot of gloominess, distraction, lot of sadness was there. And that
Mhm.
is when I wrote my first personal development book, which is called Success Mindset.
Amazing.
Right. So this happened. And then fast forward 2023, I came to Bangalore. So then 2022, I moved from North India to South India. Now, what happened is in 2019, I was working on a short video concept called edutorial. So, edutorial is a short form education tutorials.
Hmm.
So, that time, I compiled 1,000 short video content. And I decided that since the future is TikTok, so that time TikTok was in India. So, I decided that I'll make a short form content for career guidance. And that is where I created a brand called Edutorial. But you know what? TikTok was all short sort of people except education.
Hmm.
So when you saw the kind of crowd that was there on TikTok, I put my foot back. I said, this is what I can do.
Yeah.
But what happened? 4 years it took me to bring all that research into my next book, which is my flagship book called AG's Book of Careers.
Wow, yeah. 17
This is
from
this is
2017 till to 2023. I think every alternate year you've written a book. How
So
many
this
books have
is
you
what I'm
written?
telling, that all the distractions you will see in my journey, it was not focused at all. Okay, so
So
this is
how many books have you written so far?
seven. This is my seventh book.
I don't think that I've even read 7 books in these years. But we'll talk about it later.
So AG's Book of Careers came, and then what happened? Modi completed his 10 years. So in 2024, I wrote a small book called 2014 to 2024, A Decade of Transformation. Bharat has arrived. So
Yo,
this is mostly on public policy because that is also field of interest. But it took me 7 years to finally find my focus area. So what happened in 2021, when I was with OP Jindal, I was working on a concept which is called Edu Stars. So Edu
okay.
Stars is a short form of education stars. So I said that somehow I believe that I have done a lot of research, not just research, but I started in an era when Facebook, Instagram was not there. You don't have the web or Zoom. So you have to go every school. So in my EduCom time, I visited not less than 1,500 schools personally, right? So what happens? That gave me clarity in 2021-22 that you don't have enough trained people in higher education. So I thought that can we plan a startup, and I thought a name called EduStars, and started working on the research and everything. I'm not a great executor when it comes to startup, so somehow that plan did not work. But
Hmm.
4 years down the line, 3 years down the line, I compiled everything into this book, which is called Admissions and Outreach Playbook.
Yeah, yeah. So I
Right?
was just about to call out this book for the rest of everybody because everybody can see that book in the background. So uh, all the audiences, we have got close to 100 people who are participant currently. You may see. So this is the book which has been recently written by Dr. Ashish Gupta. Uh, Ta-da! I also have my copy. Yeah, it is interesting. As I've mentioned that, this particular session becomes very special because this is what we do as an organization also, right? This is very, very close to us, close to our interest. So we'll talk about a lot more of it.
Exactly. So just the purpose of telling this entire story is that if somebody thinks that today I have the solution or today I have the clarity, no. It takes you hundreds of experiments to finally reach to the right thing that can help people.
Fantastic. That's an inspiring journey for everybody who is there hearing us out. So now you know that you'll be getting an insight, all the insights from Ashish, and now you know about his journey. So stay tuned. Coming to the topic for today, Ashish, the
Yeah.
admissions and outreach playbook.
Yeah.
My first question or the point of discussion with you would be that center of everything in admissions and outreach are students.
Yeah.
And students these days are more informed than ever, right?
True. Right.
So how may a university keep up with their changing preferences and still manage to stand out? Because what I believe is that it's just not about placements anymore. Students try to find out a lot more.
Right. So you remember in our childhood or in our MBA classes also we heard a story of two salesmen. One
Mhm.
salesman go to a village where nobody wears a slipper and he has to
Yeah,
sell a slipper. And one village he goes where everyone wears a slipper.
yeah.
And everyone used to ask which is the easiest sales point. I
Mhm.
always tell the place where everyone wears slippers because the appetite is already there.
Mhm.
You just need to tell my product is better,
Yeah,
right? Selling CRM to an institute which does not have CRM is tough. Replacing CRM in an institute which already is using is easy
yeah.
because the appetite is there, product knowledge is there. You just need to tell why your product is better. So I will tell you, we are living in the golden era of
By the way, just to contribute on this point, we have done both.
yeah.
Replace every CRM, and we have given CRM to all the people who were not wearing
Right.
slippers. If
Huh.
I utilize that metaphor.
Correct. Yeah.
Please
So
continue.
yeah, so both are the case studies, both are possible, and both markets are there. But what I was telling, and even today also, you have a lot of students who are well informed, but you also have tier two and tier three cities where students don't know still. But what I was coming back to this, we are living in the golden era of education and outreach. You're living in an era wherein mass communication is so easy that today with one message I can connect with 1,000 students when it was possible. Those who have worked 10, 15 years back know connecting with 50 students, you have to travel all across India.
Hmm.
The only thing is learning and development. How do I teach how do I teach a person who already knows? I should be better informed.
Yeah.
In today's generation, you cannot just go randomly and tell them that do this. He will have five more questions to ask you. Whether I should go in aerospace engineering or whether I should go in electronics and communication or CS is better. If you don't
Mhm.
know all three, you are not the right candidate for that person to sell. So
Absolutely.
you have to invest in your learning and development before you go and start talking about it. And you don't need to learn everything. You just need to learn what your institute offers. Because what happens is, suppose I'm working in an institute which offers only five courses. Even if I know about five courses sufficiently, that is enough for me. But if I am working in an institute that offers 65, then I must know 65. I cannot say I'll come back to you because he will not come back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is the entire point. Learning and
How
development.
do you how do you make that possible for a person to absorb so much varied content and understanding and knowledge, and then communicate that in the same fashion. It's a difficult, tough job for anybody to execute.
So it's not a one day wonder. What happens is that if you think that today I join and tomorrow I learn everything, sorry, that's not possible. You have to
Mm.
invest every day. You have to take out 30 minutes every day. I'm sorry, I don't want to say this. It should not be offending to anyone. But I have met people who do not know what is on the page 19th of their brochure.
Mm.
Now imagine I go to a career fair, I have invested 1 lakh rupees, and somebody comes and asks something from my brochure and I don't know about it. What impression you will leave?
Yeah.
Learning and we are in education. We are teaching others. If we don't only learn, how will we teach others?
Mhm.
Second, we are the brand ambassador of the product. Right now, what happens if you go outside and you see a hoarding and Virat Kohli is branding a product? Why a brand is paying Virat Kohli 7 crore or 10 crore?
Mm.
Because people know that Virat Kohli is an aspirational person. When I see
Mm.
Virat Kohli, I am aspirational that I can also become that bigger. And that is how I associate myself with a brand. Admissions and outreach is the first point of contact for any university or education institute. And because of that, they work as a brand ambassador. Now, when you are a
Okay.
brand ambassador, entire institution's reputation depends on how you speak, what you tell, and how much you know.
Okay. So if I were to pick an insight or some, a summary of what you have just said is that institutions should primarily uh, focus on ensuring that their admissions and outreach team are informed enough, are learned enough, they are able to propagate their brand properly, right? And there is a lack of investment or a thought in that direction.
Exactly.
So that should be one of the topmost focus
That is the
areas.
topmost priority area for an institution to make sure the institutes, their people are ready to deal with the market.
Great. Now coming back to the book, right? You've mentioned about writing so many books in 7 8 years, and you also said that finally you discovered that okay, this is your interest area. You could realize. So, what was the
Hmm.
inspiration behind writing the admissions and outreach playbook? Because you did not do this for masses. This is not a mass thing, right? It's
It's
pretty
not a
pretty
mastery.
niche. So you
Yeah.
did not do that for sales or revenue generation. So,
Hmm.
what
Hmm.
was the inspiration behind this?
So what happens is in my childhood, I read a story, and the story is all about finding the diamond inside. Okay. So have you read this book called You Can Win by Shiv Kheda?
Yeah, yeah, I have, I
So
have.
in Shiv Kheda's
I
chapter
have that
one,
blue copy with me. I've read it also.
yeah. So that is, I think, probably one of our earliest personal development books,
Yeah.
right? So in that book, in the chapter one itself, you find a story which is called Finding the Diamonds. Right now, what happens in this story? What happens is the person is finding the diamonds. He dig for 8 feet, and then he could not find. He was disappointed and leave the land. Somebody else come. He dig 2 more feet and find the diamonds.
Yeah.
What happened in my story also? I was finding the diamonds, but in everything else except my own industry.
Hmm.
I was writing a book on personal development. I was writing a book on marketing. I was writing on public policy. I was writing on everything before realizing that, boss, I am also in an industry which is fastest growing in the country.
Hmm.
And the gap that I'm filling is something which is not filled yet. So that is
Hmm.
how I realized that learning and development is the need of the market. But how do you start? Where do you start? How do you validate that you know? So book was the product. So when I gave this book to my pro chancellor, he asked me a simple question: Ashish, how much time it took? I told entire 2024.
A year of writing.
A year. So every year, as you know, we all take something that this is what I'll do in 2024. So for
Yeah.
2024, my thing was that I'll learn, go deeper into this and learn about it and come up with a product by the end of the year. And I'm successful. 2025, I'm all about teaching others. So this is
Hmm.
how it was all about finding the diamonds, but realizing later that diamonds are within the industry that I am living in. I don't have to go to any other industry.
Hmm. And you've been seeing this challenge, obviously, that must have inspired you that this would work and this is the need of the hour across varied institutions that you worked in and a lot of students that you must be talking
It
to.
is it is one of the key challenges. Suraj, what happened is I'm traveling to so many conferences. And I'm sorry, I don't want to offend anyone, but sometimes I meet people and realize, what are you doing in higher education? right? And the person is also representing as a director or as a manager.
Mm-hmm.
No, I am offended that you are playing with the career of somebody. It is not just a job. See, in our job, we are very responsible. See, suppose I am working in Hindustan Unilever. I just go and sell you a shampoo. What will
Mm-hmm.
happen? At the end of the day, you have a waste product, you'll throw it out, losing 300 or 500, 700 rupees. But in
Yeah.
higher education, our job is someone's career.
Yeah.
Now I tell him that, okay, boss, you know what? Today this is trending. You go and do AI. But this person is no interest in AI and he could have done better in filmmaking. You sent him to AI. After 4 years, he realized what I'm doing here.
Mm-hmm.
And the time of that student will never come back. So there is not just a gap, but also this is a very crucial industry to work in because what you are doing is someone's future.
Okay.
And that is where I found. Second is one of the reasons is it's been 14 years for me. But did I ever attended a training on this subject?
No.
So then I realized, okay, there is no training. When there is no training, what you do? You create a training.
Interesting. Yeah. Are you a tough boss, Ashish?
Sorry?
Are you a tough boss?
No, I'm exactly opposite. I let people understand what their job is and go and do it.
Rightly
Team will
said.
have energy.
Rightly said. So we have a little over 100 people now, 120 to be precise. So
That's amazing.
um, for the audiences, you may also ask some questions uh, as I am doing, and you can use the Q&A section that you have on the bottom of your screen to do the same. So what I'll do is that I'll pick up some questions in the interest of time and ask it to Dr. Ashish, or you may ask some questions to me also. I won't mind. We have somebody put up a chat already. Somebody says that he's a people leader. Okay, I think that this is somebody from your team answering on the behalf of your. I agree. He's not a tough boss, but you said that to do target, somebody has to be motivated, and you doesn't need to be tough. Fantastic. Now, on the lines of what you've just mentioned, I'll pick a quick cue and ask you that beyond not investing enough in the training of the admissions and marketing team, what do you think are the other recurring mistakes institutions make as far as their outreach and marketing is concerned?
Hmm. So one of there are few things we can talk about. One of the thing is expecting very early results. What happens is
Mhm.
your person has joined today, and you think after 1 month he'll bring 50 admissions.
Mhm.
अरे अभी तो आया है, अभी तो सीखेगा, अभी तो जाएगा, अभी तो समझेगा मार्केट में कि आपका इंस्टीट्यूट बिकेगा कैसे, right? So if I think I can give one message to institution, I'll say that 6 months is a minimum window you have to give to a person who has joined before expecting any result,
Irrespective of the experience that the guy has.
irrespective of the experience. Because what happens is your institution have different setup. Right
Mhm.
now, I understand that somebody has joined in April. Then I cannot say 6 months because that's a peak season. We are a seasonal business. But I'm just telling in general that a person should have 180 days of learning period before they start delivering. So one mistake is putting pressure too early. And that is why I see a lot of attrition, that people leave and switch. And because of the high growing industry, you have so many universities coming up, people are getting the job easily. But they're not understanding that changing every year will not solve your problem.
Mhm.
Until unless you get inside one university and deliver well. Because in 1 year, you're not learning enough and changing again, starting from zero.
Mhm.
So this is one thing. Second is use of technology. See, Suraj, we need to understand one thing, but that in India, it is mainly a family-driven business. Education, especially, you will find a lot of families running the institutions, right? Now, in this family, you can't expect a person to be a technology genius. So because of that, what happens is there's not effective use of technology. If I leave tier 1 cities, a lot of people still do not know how to make the best use of technology. So second
Mhm.
is use of technology. And the third is dedicated team. What happens is I went to an institute. I wanted to meet somebody who is from admissions. I'm meeting a professor. Now,
Mm.
this professor is a full-time teacher, half-time admissions.
Mhm.
How do you think he will bring the result and how do you think he will have the responsibility? So not
Mm.
just a full-time team, but also a dedicated learning team. So these are three things. One is don't expect too early results. Second is use the technology well. And third is have a dedicated trained team.
Yeah, I agree. So, we need to double click on these three because these are interesting things. So, you mentioned about not expecting early results. The problem that institutions usually call out are that, we are a seasonal business. We can't really pay to people for the entire year while we expect results just for 5, 6 months. Right. So that's the reason that we don't really want to invest a lot of money in training them because they are just useful for that particular 6 months and then doing something else maybe. Right.
Hmm.
And it's all about, optimizing costs and cost benefit. So that is an area which sounds logical as well. Right. If I need maybe a team of counselors, say for 6 months, I can't really afford to keep my cost heavy on that particular bench kept reserved for a year. So, what do you think is the probable solution to this?
No, first thing we need to change is that you're not a seasonal business. It's a full-time, full year business.
Mhm.
Okay. 6 months you invest and after 6 months you get the outcome. What happens is sometimes, as you said, that we have also seen that people are thinking that it's a 6 months business. So my counseling team is busy for 6 months and what to do for next 6 months, let's change it.
Mhm.
Every year new people will come. Understand the
Yeah,
training cost for those new people. Will they not take 3 more months to learn about it? So your three
yeah.
months is wasted anyways. Second is now what one more thing I wanted to talk, but I wanted to talk later. Now we can come on that. Lot of institutions have the dependency on third parties. Just
Mhm.
like a seasonal business, I think that I will outsource my admission to this platform or that platform. This platform will deliver. Then we'll talk next year. Then again, what we'll have some counselors. Then I'll outsource to this platform. He'll deliver. You are not building your organic channels because of the seasonal business thought. The
Yeah.
moment you start building your organic channels, if you employ people for whole year, school and admissions window work differently. Schools are open when admissions are closed. Admissions are open when schools are closed. So you have to utilize that time accordingly and wisely. When your team is sitting, they can go and do something in schools to build an organic channel. When admission season come, they can come back to university, do the counseling and turn that organic lead into an admission. You're saving at least 50,000 rupees per admission. So imagine your counselor does only 6 admissions and you have the cost outcome.
Amazing. Yeah, I think very interesting insight and meaningful insight is that, if you hire a fresh team every time, then there is a lot of training loss also, and that takes away 3 months, 4 months, and still you not be able to get that outcome. So if you equate it for a full year, then 30-35% of cost you're already wasting. It is always better to have a team of champions retained, right? And look at the admissions as a yearly cycle and not a cyclic sort of business. Interesting. And about dependency on third parties you mentioned, I also agree to that. Coming back to the second point that you mentioned about use of technology, right? How deep the use of technology is in your view and could be for the people who are not utilizing it to the hilt as far as admissions and outreach is concerned. What all are the areas that one should really look at utilizing technology in this aspect?
I'll tell you one interesting story and then we'll get into the areas. I was working in Educom, okay, and we were installing the smart classes. So smart class is a technology class wherein you can teach through the smart class. Now what happened is when we go and install 100 smart classes, suddenly we get a complaint that 50 smart classes are not working. Our
Hmm.
support team will go, it will resolve, and after 1 week again you will listen that 50 smart class or 30 smart class are not working. So we realized that our product is sturdy, our product has all the requirements that a person needs. It should not have happened. We got deeper into it. And then we realized that the teacher who was not comfortable in technology had a scissor to cut the wire,
Hmm.
right? And then this is how someday battery is not there, someday something is not there, someday some wire is not there, something is installed, something is happening, a problem is consistent because one teacher was not ready to learn.
Hmm.
This is exactly the same thing we had that happen with CRM today. When we talk about deeper technology, see, technology is not easy. If I want to learn CRM, you remember I installed in 2018, I installed Meritto in Jagran Lake City University.
Yeah.
And 2019, I got the highest user award for Central India.
Yeah.
Right. In 1 year, why that was possible? But that because we not just installed, but we got deeper into that to make the best use of the product.
Yeah.
See, you have to do automation, you have to create mailers, you have to create messages, you have to do DLT. No, DLT itself, if I talk about, such a complicated process that half the people don't even do it.
Hmm.
But if you don't do it, how will your message go? Right.
Absolutely.
Even in your system, if you go and check how many institutions have 100 automations, 100 mailers. As an
Yeah.
institution, full-time institution, if you do not have 100 automation or 100 emailers, you're not operating at its best.
Hmm.
While the technology is very deep, you have to devote a lot of time into doing that, into operating that. And then the third thing comes is what works. Now, email or automation work for me, maybe not for everyone. You
Yeah.
have to do A/B testing. What is working, what is not working.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
lastly, for all of that, do you even have a full-time team who can deal with this?
Hmm.
Right? Because the person who was supposed to do it is in the market doing counseling. Right?
Absolutely. I think the role of full-time team also is very, very required. And though a lot of institutions, especially the top ones in the country and the people who are little ahead in terms of the tech curve, tech adoption curve,
Hmm.
they know the importance of putting full-time people. But, as you mentioned, there are at times, uh, you know, professors also, sometimes they're interested in doing what they've been asked to do. Many times they're not also interested in doing what they're asked to
Correct.
do because their core focus is academics is
Correct.
something that gives them this kick, but
Yeah.
still because because of the loyalty and the passion towards the organization, they serve that role. So I think, yeah, everybody at the owners level, management level, should be very cognizant about the fact that uh, dedicated teams and people who are professionals who have the expertise of running admissions and outreach should be deployed for a larger benefit.
Exactly. So today, technology is not a part-time thing.
Yeah.
Technology is a full-time product. You cannot escape a CRM. CRM is a basic, as I say in my team, it is the heartbeat of your system.
Yes.
If CRM stops working, you are in ICU,
Ah,
right? और अगर एक महीने नहीं चला तो आप गए, right? So the thing is, technology is deep today. Technology is full-time today, and technology has some amazing use cases.
hmm.
देखो सूरज, क्या होता है, आई ऑलवेज टेल कि हम ना ऐसी दुनिया में रह रहे हैं जहां पे एग्जांपल्स की कमी नहीं है. हायर एजुकेशन में हम तो टॉप 100 में नहीं है ना, बट
Hmm.
देयर आर टॉप 100 यूनिवर्सिटीज टू लर्न फ्रॉम.
Absolutely.
Right. So it is always about understanding and learning. Some universities doing 30,000 admissions. What can I go and learn how they are doing it?
Yeah. See, that brings me to another question, right? You talked about dedicated teams, and you also talked about investing in L&D. You also talked about that CRMs should be utilized
Yeah.
properly.
Yeah.
So I think everybody really get a lot of kick once they look at the possibilities of what technology can do for them
Hmm.
during demos and every you know in the POCs, everything.
Hmm.
Especially the management really gets excited
Right.
because the possibilities of different outcomes and so on and so
Hmm.
forth.
Hmm.
However, when it is implemented and it comes to adoption,
Hmm.
not everybody is very gung ho about doing
Yeah.
this.
Hmm.
So there are two questions. One is that whose responsibility it is that the implemented technology is adopted, in a meaningful manner,
Hmm.
and what should institutions do to ensure that there is a positive impact?
See, my father's job is to send me a school.
Mm-hmm.
Getting the marks is my responsibility. If I say that I got 40 marks only, do you think my father will come back and invest in my education?
Mm-hmm.
It's a simple example for every institution. Some promoters are really good. They want to invest in the welfare of the institution. But
Yeah.
it is the job of admissions guy to get it not just fully implemented, but get the juice out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because as a promoter, my job is to invest money in you, right? Whatever you come and say, you say that let's invest in Shiksha, I'll invest in Shiksha. You come back and say, let's invest in Meritto, I'll invest in Meritto. But at the end of the day, what I'm looking forward is benefit of my institution, and the net result for any education institute is the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter how many emailers you have done. It doesn't matter how many products or how many publishers you have brought. At the end of the day, what is your net admissions, not just the
Yeah.
gross admission. So अगर मैंने बोला कि यार 5,000 करना है, आपने 5,050 करके दिया, आई एम हैप्पी, यू कम बैक अगेन एंड टेल मी व्हाट इज टू बी डन. So it is the job of admissions guy, the lead of admissions, to make sure the technology is fully implemented and utilized for the best of institutions' welfare.
Yeah, so there are a lot of questions which are also popping up. I'll just come to the questions. But just to summarize what you just mentioned, I believe that you're saying that there has to be a framework at institutions' end to ensure that whatever technology that they're invested in, it is adopted in a right manner. So that framework should be that the admissions team or the marketing team or the heads of uh, these teams, maybe for whom the technology has been absorbed, right, should be responsibility to ensure, should be held accountable for the adoption of that, and they should be doing the retrainings and trainings and everything for them, and obviously with the assistance of the vendor that is there.
Exactly. Exactly. And I always sum up with this example to every each of my team member. My father's job me to get me the education. What I
Hmm.
become is my job
Yeah.
responsibility. Right. Similarly, with any institute, the promoter's job is to invest. I have
Okay.
to turn those expectations into reality.
All right. So I'll just pick up a few questions and I'll encourage more people to ask questions. One of the attendees is saying that we should get these recordings and convert into bytes for all the admission directors in India. You'll get it on the YouTube also, right? And you'll get if you have registered with us, so you'll get a link of the recording as well. So our team is pretty fast, so you can expect that in a day or two on YouTube, right? Another question that is there is in terms of outreach, how can we prioritize leads during peak admission periods? Yeah, that's also a common problem, right? A lot of institutions tell us that we don't really have a lot of inbound, a lot of organic traction is missing, right? So what we do is that we buy a lot of data from different, or we source a lot of data from different places, and then ask our teams to make calls. But so much of a data can't really be called in a few months or days, right? Because there are follow-ups attached, and the teams are limited. So prioritization of leads become a huge problem. So they miss out on calling maybe some hot leads, and they are just calling on some uh, bulk data junk leads. So a lot of manpower also gets wasted. So how to prioritize leads in the peak admission season is the question.
Two, three things are there to work on that. Number one is bulk data is never a solution. First
Mm-hmm.
thing is stop taking bulk data. Today, I can go out and buy entire CBSE data for 10,000 rupees. But do you know the resources I'll waste in nurturing that data would be much more than what I can do organically?
Mm-hmm.
Number one. Number two is these days you have an amazing technology called IVR.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you have big data, suppose I have 5 lakh data, I can put IVR, the number will call that, okay, this call is from RV University. Are you interested? Press 1. It completes in less than 10 seconds. So you put the IVR. And the third thing is, do you have people on ground? Like if I talk about I have a team across India. And this team is coming back with the data. If a person is working in Kolkata, he is working with 20 resources. And he is coming back telling counseling team that what should be done, what should not be done.
Mm-hmm.
So I call this term admissions outreach synergy. If your team has great admissions outreach synergy and they have intel, आपने रॉ का नाम सुना है ना? हमारे देश में कुछ होता है नहीं होता है उसमें रॉ का रोल होता है. वैसे आपकी जो आउटरीच टीम है ना वो ऑन ग्राउंड रॉ है. दे विल टेल यू द इंटेल्स कि यार मार्केट में चल क्या रहा है. सर कोलकाता में ना सीएस का बड़ा ट्रेंड है. सर सीएस पे अगर काम करेंगे ना इट विल वर्क. सर कोलकाता में ना फिल्म मेकिंग आजकल काफी चल रहा है. We get to know what are the 5 courses that will sell in that particular market. We work on that. Similarly, our admission team give the message to these outreach team कि boss, we are running a Google ad. यार छत्तीसगढ़ से बड़ा अच्छा रिस्पॉन्स आ रहा है. मेरा जो है कॉस्ट पर लीड बाकी जगह तो 600 रुपए जा रहा है, बट छत्तीसगढ़ में पता नहीं क्यों 380 रुपीज पे हो रहा है. So this is a combination of both teams that give you great insights on what to work, what will work. But again, I'll come back. Organic data bulk data is not a solution. Don't work on entire CBSE data. Don't harass people also because of your messaging and something. You should have something concrete to work on that data.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll also add, for the attendees who asked this question, I'm sure that this is a problem for them. See, from a technology point of view in India, what Meritto has done is that we are just to announce that particular solution called Prospecta, right?
Okay.
We understand that a lot of institutions who are not really able to build a lot of organic traction, there are less of inbound inquiries for them. They would want to subscribe to some bulk data and then make attempts to do some conversions or outreach on that data to create awareness and so on and so forth. But calling all of them directly is never a solution because it is going to eat out a lot of bandwidth of your people and they'll get motivated because maybe out of hundreds of leads, you'll get some 2-3 positive calls, right? So Prospecta at Meritto, what it does is that it automates the entire nurturing on those leads in a very meaningful manner so that you are not ending up harassing those students with repetitive SMSs and emails and WhatsApp, but in a very personalized manner, you are driving that communication. And whatever students who are interested, whosoever is interested, right, through that particular engine gets parked as a priority lead in your system. So we generate interest, capture intent and interest of the student from that raw data because of that workflows that we set, right? And that data migrates from that Prospecta to Prospecta engine or module, if you may so to your lead manager, wherein your counselors are making calls. So it qualifies leads from bulk data, and you end up saving a lot of cost and bandwidth and time, right? And motivation of your people also. Point number 2 here is that Prospecta enables you to run IVRs, run SMSs, emails, WhatsApp, right? Run automation workflows, personalized communication based on how the student is interacting with these at one place, right? So be it creation of your landing pages, be it creation of your templates, everything happens there. So we are just about to announce it. It is going to be very helpful for you to convert a lot of bulk data while spending very less amount to hot leads for yourself. I'll pick up another question, then I have my own question.
Great. So now you have a pre-sales pitch before we launch the product. So this is great. And I
I'm also an outreach person.
Just one addition I have here is because in all institutions we have a priority market. So if you can put also one more filter, which is adding the priority market, that if the bulk data comes in this, can this work on the priority market first? That will also help. Just a suggestion.
Absolutely. There is a question from Mr. T. Aswini Patro. What's your take on experiential outreach? And we are into run-of-the-wheel age-old strategies like the fairs, sessions, principal and counselor conclave. What can be something more impactful? Thank you so much for asking this question, Mr. Patro. Yeah, Ashish, your take on that.
So what happens is today you are not one size fit all. And the solution is mixing the experiences. You cannot go all offline. You cannot go all online. You have to have mixed experiences created for students. Now, one thing that works in outreach is, and also when I see that when we talk this term outreach, we believe that only if you're going to school, you are an outreach person.
Yeah.
Right? So those schools is one thing. But what are you doing in the digital space? You might connect 10,000 students offline, but you can connect 1 lakh student on Instagram. So how are you investing in that? Right? You can connect thousands of parents on LinkedIn or on YouTube. How you're investing in that? So one is merging the resources. See, Suraj, we are the generation that has seen both the offline and online world. We started from pure offline and turned into a time which is pure online. Zoom, webinars, everything else. So right now the outreach, some of the best resources and solutions for outreach is mixing the experiences and create a funnel. Now you go to school, you meet 100 kids. What is the next for them? Sometimes what happens is, Suraj, that the data is lying in system for 6 months. After that, somebody calls and the student forget that they have met also someone. What is happening after 15 days for that kid? What is happening after 13 days? And this is entire outreach experience. So we have to create an outreach funnel, mixing the outreach experience from offline to online. And then I'll tell you one funnel, which is called 4 stage model of admissions. We'll talk about it. But the last point is touching again offline. Now, what happened is I met 1,000 students in Hyderabad. After 6 months, I have realized that these 50 are the crucial who are interested. I go and close it in Hyderabad.
Yeah. There's an interesting question here around what you're, just talking.
Yeah.
He's mentioned, I'll encourage all the people who are posting questions to mention your name so that we can call it out, and also, where you come from, maybe the group of institutions or university or college, edtech, whatever. But this is an anonymous attendee who's mentioned that, can you please suggest some metrics or KPIs which our teams can use to measure the success of our admissions outreach campaigns?
So one of the interesting things that I've done in my book is, I have to do self-promotion, is I have added a checklist for effective campaigns. Okay, so this is Appendix A, wherein you get the checklist system that what I have to do. So entire KPI, and in this checklist, I'll tell you what all I have mentioned. I have mentioned what are the pre-campaign preparation. You have to define goals, research and analysis. You have to set budgets. Then what are the campaign design, campaign execution, lead nurturing, monitoring and optimization. The entire thing, post-campaign activities. The campaign is not enough. When you are done with campaign, what you'll do as post-campaign activities. And then what are the key metrics to track? The last thing is key metrics to track. So if you actually follow this formula, you will get everything. Now, second appendix that I have added is sample admissions calendar. So you actually have a sample admission calendar to follow. And what I've done is, somewhere I've written months, somewhere I've removed the months, because some institute follow. In India, 99% we have the July to June window of admission cycle. But some institutes also have dual window, which is they start MBA courses in January and run that. So according to your months, you can follow this admissions calendar. And I also have a third appendix here, which talks about how exactly you get everything done, right? So step by step process. So if you actually follow these metrics, everything is there in this books. And Suraj, I have only talked about the last four pages, but if you actually go through the book, you have everything on how to create the ideal admissions team, how to nurture the leads. Everything is explained step by step.
Yeah. Okay. You need to buy this book to get all the KPIs, but I'll also, take a jab on this question and answer. See, as far as, defining KPIs to measure the success of your admissions and outreach or marketing campaigns is concerned, I think, first of all, very important is that you need to quantify that what has been the outcome in terms of lead generation. So you need to centralize all that data and tag it properly. I don't know if you're a Meritto user or not, or you're not a Meritto user. But if you are a Meritto user, then you would have this in place. If you're not a Meritto user, then you must get a system in place. Meritto is going to the best, but still it's your choice. So you must have a system in place which could help you automatically tag the lead generation from multiple campaigns. So centralization of data and proper tagging of data for proper attribution is the first thing in place. If that is not there, you can never set KPIs. Forget about it, right? On the KPI side, at times it becomes very difficult because largely everybody would talk about two things. One is that what is the cost that I'm spending on generating that lead, and what is my conversion percentage, or what is my cost per acquisition of that particular student, cost per admission. So these are the large KPIs that everybody talks about. Having said that, at Meritto, what we actually reach out to our customers and tell them is that admission cycle is a 6 to 8 month cycle right? Not every student who is showing interest to you in January would convert in January. It might take few months for the student to get converted, right? Because the sales cycle is 6-8 months, right? So if you set your KPIs based on how many conversions you are getting from a particular source, maybe through your outreach campaigns, you'll always be disappointed. You'll end up putting up a lot of pressure on your teams, as Ashish was mentioning in the beginning, right? Because the conversions may happen at a later stage. Having said that, if you are waiting for the conversions to happen to set your KPIs, then you've already lost the ground. So it's a tricky problem. How we have solved it for our customers is that there are certain indicators that we have created in the system. For example, our system is able to show you that how many leads which have inflowed or have got centralized in the system are actually verified leads. That means that not just that lead has come into the system, but the lead has also interest to know more about your institution. So that's a smart parameter, and you are able to get a relative view, right? Just to tell you in a layman language, आपके पास 10 सोर्सेज है जहां से आपको लीड्स आ रही हैं. आप देखते हो एक सोर्स का वेरिफिकेशन परसेंटेज 50% का है, एक सोर्स का 70% का है, और किसी सोर्स का सिर्फ 20% का है. So that means there is a problem with that particular source, because relatively it is giving me very less verified leads, and for that the leads can be very, very new. Lead has come today and you are able to see that, okay, what is my verification trends, that you are able to capture very early in the journey of the conversion, right? That's point number one. Second indicator is that how much that particular lead is engaged coming from that channel. So I'll be able to see that, okay, this lead has come from my outreach campaign, and what is the lead score, average lead score of that particular lead. Are the students engaging, not engaging, and the lead strength also. That's another indicator. That can be set as a KPI and looked at as a outcome metrics. Third is also the mutually exclusive impact. Now that's very, very interesting, right? The students before shortlisting an institution may end up evaluating a lot of institutions, right? And they might reach out to your own institution from multiple sources. So through a mutually exclusive impact, an institution is able to figure out the exclusive dependency on a particular channel or a medium or an effort to get those leads and conversions. मुझे ये पता चल जाता है कि अगर मैं आउटरीच कैंपेन नहीं करूंगा तो मेरा exclusive impact कितना होगा. There could be a possibility that my system is showing that, okay, I've got say 200 conversions from my outreach campaign, right? Whatever campaign. Having said that, if I would have not done outreach campaign, how many students still would have come to me from other sources? So if that number is less than 50%, so vis-a-vis the cost that I'm investing on that particular channel or outreach, right, I can just evaluate the value that I'm getting. So, and obviously the cost per acquisition, cost per lead, and the cost per conversion, final conversion, all of those KPIs are still there. But the fact of the matter is that these KPIs can only come at the later stage of admissions, when the admissions are about to close. So this is what you can look at. My question to you now, and that's my question of the audience's question. Audiences are still posting questions. Is around the marketing mix. You talked about publishers, you talked about outreach. How should institutions and varied institutions from tier 2, tier 1, tier 3 should think about having an ideal marketing mix? Or is there a definition to an ideal marketing mix as per you?
No, there is definitely not a definition right now of ideal marketing mix, but see, you have 4 or 5 major channels. Your first channel is organic. I always tell that there are some students who will come to you despite of any effort that you do or don't do. Is just by the virtue of your existence. So like for a brand like RV that I represent, I say that 50% of my admissions are done organically. If I stop all my channels today, I will do 50% of the admissions that I'm doing today. So that is number one. Number two, my channel is the awareness channel that we call outreach. That means my team is going out doing things, setting up things because of which some admissions are happening. How would it be? Maybe 15 to 20%. So my 70% are admissions are happening because of the organic and my outreach. Now for the balance 30%, what do I use? Number one, I use the publishers. So you have few trusted publishers. Okay, few publishers have become the national standard for which everyone works. You can say Shiksha, you can say College Dunia, maybe few other brands. They are the standards and you cannot escape them.
Yeah.
You have to put some publishers in your basket and they will bring you 5 to 10% results. So your 80% is done. Now, what about the rest of 20%? In the rest of 20%, you have your consultant model and you have your Google ad campaigns. So then what you do is you run your Google ads, you run your Facebook ads, you run your Instagram ads, through which you generate and nurture leads and through which your team converts. This is a costly affair.
Mm-hmm.
So randomization will not work. And you should have an expert to do this. I often see somebody is running the ad. I ask you, bhai, what is your qualification to do this? No, sir, I am the intern. भाई पैसे जला रहा है यार तू तेरे को किसने बिठाया? So 10% of your outcome can come from Google ads and different campaigns, social media campaigns, if you do it effectively. And for the balance 10%, see, not every institute has a consultant channel. But generally, what happens is you have different educators, career counselors, independent career counselors working across the country. So, when throughout the year you go to different cities, you also meet these career counselors. And at the end, these career counselors help you in the 8 to 10% window. So, if I tell you for myself, mine is 50, 20, 10, 10, 10 under 5 buckets. This is the ideal mix that we follow.
Okay, fantastic. We'll take another question. This is from Jyoti Vasudev from AMC Institutions. The question is it a good idea to assign specific courses to counselors? We have both engineering and degree courses.
This is a good idea. You always should have trained people. One of my principles, I learned it early during my career launcher days. Always assign the task to the expert. And when you have assigned the expert, let the expert do the job. So I always suggest you should have experts who do, especially in counseling. As I said, outreach is a different ball game. For outreach, you can be asked any question. So you should be ready for everything. But counseling is a different thing. For counseling, a student will go deeper because now they are into consideration and decision making stage. Okay, so Suraj, I have a 4-tier education admission model, which I've explained in my book. What happens is your admission happen in 4 stages. Number 1 is awareness. You do it for first 6 to 8 months. That means from September you start until March, you are in the awareness period, wherein you are meeting with a lot of people and doing awareness. January, February, March onwards, your interest period starts. That means you open your applications and people start coming and putting their interest. After that, the role of your counselor start, which is application and consideration. So now your counselor come in picture and turn those interest into application and those applications into admissions. And that is where only experts should deal with the application.
All right, I hope that answers the question. One more question we'll take, and then another question that I have also to ask you. What is the most effective approach or tool to ensuring that communications with students feel personal yet scalable?
So as of now, as I said, that since you have Meritto, what is the most effective tool? Meritto is the most effective tool for personalized communications. They have tokens. So you just use the tokens and every token is personalized. So if I put a token in my name, it will pick the name of every lead as per what they have mentioned. And there cannot be anything more personalized than using a right token for communication. And second is variety of communication. You're not just limited to an emailer. You're not limited to WhatsApp. You're not limited to message. You can use variety of communication and personalization. I think that's the best tool.
Yeah, and I think within Meritto, I think it's a very phased process of personalizing communication. It's not just about sending SMS and emails, but there has to be a complete workflow, first of all, in your minds, that how do you want to go about communicating with the students, and at what stage what communication should really go. Once you have decided that framework, and communication for different intervals, different type of students, different geographies, once you've done that, rest all Meritto's drip marketing can take care of. Then it is everything is automated and very scalable. Because you talk about scalability, we also say that sending bulk SMS and emails or WhatsApp, email, whatever, is not the right way to engage with students. So there is a complete workflow builder. Just put it in our minds that okay, this is how our communication journey, engagement journey with the students should look like. Build it in the system, and the system is going to do the rest for yourself. It also is capable of deciding that okay, what students should not be sent any communication any further. Maybe because they're not interested, so system is intelligent enough to understand that. So you end up saving a lot of costs there. of repetitive SMS and emails, and the cause and the trouble that you're causing to the student by sending SMS and emails over and over again on WhatsApp. And also because maybe the student is already enrolled with you. So it is intelligent enough. Take care of personalization and everything. We are already 1 hour into the session and the questions are flowing in. But my question to you is that we talked about a lot about technology. There has been a lot of emphasis on two things
Right.
across your discussions, Ashish. That one is that people, the teams should really be enabled. There should be dedicated teams, and this should be really looked as a full-time role and not a temporary role. So
Yes.
there should be a lot of emphasis on training those teams and keep them motivated. And second is also the role of technology. You can't really do away with implementing rights of technology. Now, my question to you is that how should institutions go about shortlisting a tech vendor, especially from the point of view of admissions and outreach, right? Because there are multiple offerings at place at times, right? There are a lot of misguidance also during the demos around the problems. And many a times the demos are largely done through PowerPoint presentations, right? Therefore, so how should an institution go about making a decision? कि ये vendor
Okay.
लगा सकता हूँ?
So before we go into how should, I'll tell you how not to finalize a vendor.
Okay. Yeah.
Don't look at cost only to finalize the vendor. आपको पता है सबसे बड़ी गलती कोई भी इंस्टीट्यूट क्या करता है? You remember in all the sarkari offices we had this system of 3 quotation.
Yeah, yeah.
And your finance will approve the cheapest one.
Yeah.
I'm surprised to tell you that there are hundreds of institutions who still follow this. So what happens? Promoter ने decide किया कि भाई CRM लगाना है. एक बंदा काम पे लग गया, उसने कहा 3 quotation ले आओ. उसने कहा सूरज का quotation 15 लाख का है, X का quotation 10 लाख का है, Y का quotation 6 लाख का है. उसने कहा एक काम करो 6 लाख वाला approved. It's a standard for everyone. Can you do it for CRM? No. Right? Cost should not be a factor for lower cost should not be a factor to finalize a tool. You can save the money, but understand that this is playing a crucial role in your entire admission funnel. Good, bad, ugly, everything will be decided by the CRM that you implement. Yeah. So number one is how not to. Number two is, Suraj, right now we are in 2025. We are a mature market. We are no longer 2016, 2018 when there were only one or two and you don't have market feedback. Today, you have sufficient market feedback, sufficient case studies and applications to understand what works and what doesn't. So one of the things we need to do is the market study, right? So who is using the product? Second is you have top 5 players in every domain that you are using. You have publisher, you have top 5 domain. You have consultant, you have top 5 domains. You are doing outreach through vendors, you have top 5 vendors. You're doing CRM, you have top 5 vendors. So it will only take you next 2 hours to shortlist the top 5 vendors. And then you go and do the demo, which works best. Depending on your requirements, cost, and their feedback. Yeah. And feedback should be first hand. I often see that somebody has come and say, "Arey sir, wo acha nahi hai." Right? You are the decision authority. Have you taken the first hand feedback from those who are using it? Yeah. So first hand feedback, right? Top 5 players, understanding your requirement and fulfilling your requirement, first hand feedback. आपने इन तीनों को mix कर दिया, you have the solution.
Yeah, great. So cost should not be the only factor is what...
Cost should not be the factor. Yes, cost should not be the only factor.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I think that time of asking for multiple quotations, I think the market has matured enough because they have a lot of places they have also learned lessons the hard way.
Exactly.
At times we also end up losing some customers, not many, but few customers because they are offered a very cheap solution by somebody, and then the difference is so much that the customer starts to also question, and then the only answer that we are able to give to them that is that you need to really experience it before concluding anything. But we have to unfortunately let them go because from a tech point of view, there are a lot of intangible costs which are involved, right? Now, data security, for instance,
Correct.
right? Every institution is very concerned on their data security, and they should really be. We also ask them this, that, how do you ensure that, what is the data security framework that you currently have, and then how Meritto is going to enable that framework for you so that there is no leakage, etc.
Hmm.
Everybody is very worried. Having said that, when it comes to investments in technology,
Hmm.
very few give, not very few doesn't really give
Right.
any any heed to that particular thought. However, that is not a priority element to pick up a
Right.
system.
Hmm.
Over cost, they don't really look at it.
Hmm.
Now, to keep the data protected, it requires a lot of investment, first of all,
Hmm.
from the
Yeah.
tech side.
Yeah.
Similarly, I think cost of losing an admission, or
Hmm.
cost of losing a lead,
Hmm.
is much higher than the cost of investing in a cheaper solution, right? So
Exactly.
end up losing a lot of money when you are not investing in the right system, and if
Right.
you look.
So
और
you
मैं
remember.
ये बोलता हूँ कि of late some customer asked me that, Suraj, your this company so and so has given me uh, a quotation of 1/5 your cost.
Hmm.
How is that justified,
Hmm.
right? And I very politely told him, sir, you are asking me that, how is this justified? You should really be asking the
Hmm.
other company that how can you sell it for so cheap.
Yeah.
It's not a question for me, it's a question for them कि इतना
For
सस्ता
the.
है. So, and I asked them in
Hmm.
my Punjabi style that, would you ever buy
Hmm.
milk
Hmm.
which is selling for, say, 10 rupees a liter? He said
Right.
no,
तुमको
because
पहले पता लग जाएगा कुछ गड़बड़
कुछ
है.
गड़बड़ होगा. मैं कहा, सर 10 रुपए का दूध नहीं लोगे बिकॉज इट इज गोइंग टू इम्पैक्ट योर हेल्थ.
Right. Right.
इतना सस्ता सीआरएम लोगे तो आपका एडमिशन हेल्थ का नुकसान होगा.
Correct.
ऑब्वियसली
Correct.
उसका गड़बड़ है, तो यहाँ पर भी कुछ गड़बड़ होगा. डोंट आस्क मी बिकॉज आई एम नॉट कॉस्टली,
Right.
right? I'm just trying to protect
Right.
our interest. And
Hmm.
also, there is an ROI also. We are not saying that somebody who's not really able to get that ROI from a particular thing, they should still invest. But
Hmm.
ROI is very, very important from that point of view, right? If you are investing, say, 10 rupees and making 100 rupees, it is
Hmm.
worth the investment. Now, for the same thing, you are investing 5
Hmm.
and you are struggling to save 5,
Hmm.
then it's not cheap. It's
Right.
costly,
It's
right?
costly.
It is
Exactly.
costly.
Hmm.
So, one more question, Ashish.
Yeah.
The question is, which publishers or platforms have you found most effective in reaching and engaging prospective students, and why?
Publishers or platform, you're talking about the lead generation, right? So
Yes.
what happens is that as of now, we use two standard platforms, Shiksha and College Dunya. In both of them, if I tell you which one, I'll always go with Shiksha. Shiksha is not just a market standard platform, but they also have a lot of solid backing with content. So when a student come to their platform, they get a lot of value. But again, as I said, that I'm not limited to Shiksha or College Dunya. I go for top five. Whatever I told you just before some time, do I use top five? I use top five in everything that we do. We use outreach partners, we use publishers, we use agencies, we do top five. I do not rely with publishers. The reason is simple, that if they do not deliver, my campaign is gone.
Hmm.
Can I rely on them? No. 50 admissions loss is something I cannot afford.
Absolutely.
So we keep a mix, just like I told you, 50%, 20%, 10, 10, 10. That is my admission mix. Similarly, in publishers also, we keep a mix of 50%, 20%, 10, 10, 10. Just
Hmm.
to make sure my stakes are managed.
Great. I think, we can further deliberate on that question, but I think we don't really have much time. We have to respect the time of the webinar. We, I think, looking at the line of questions that we've had, and all the questions which are also pending to be answered, we'll plan a workshop on, marketing,
Yeah.
especially on digital marketing side, on how you can really look at investing in different marketing campaigns, and ensure that you are able to get the best outcome.
Hmm.
But at a later stage, there's another question. That's the last question.
Yeah.
This is from Dinesh V. Aluwalia, and he said that he's from Top Crew Aviation. They're already using Meritto. Very happy, he said. Thank you so much. There's a praise about the account manager as well, Ridhima. She'll be happy to hear that, sir. Thank you so much. He says that they are in process of opening many flying schools in
Mhm.
India and abroad, especially in Middle East, Europe, and US. For
Mhm.
expansion, I'll really appreciate if you can please throw on some light how we can move forward, and that'll be great. Any
So I think
inputs
what
on that?
exactly you want to ask, I could not get clarity that we want to
So
talk
saying
about.
that, I think what he wants to say is that they are a flying school and they are progressing fast and they want to open up more branches both in India and outside,
Mhm.
right? So is there some input that you can give to them for expanding in a righteous manner?
Right. So what happens is aviation, if you see right now, it's a hot market, right? When do we use a flying? Because when we have money, right? The country is growing, not just the country is growing, but whichever markets he's talking about, all are the growing market. When somebody is investing money for your product, that means you need more people. That means more people need to come to flying school, actually learn how does it work and invest in that. That is perfectly all right. Talking about growth, currently we do not have the numbers. How much you are growing, what exactly are the enrollments, how much you are doing, what are your profit percentages and everything. Then only we can discuss and finalize what should be the way forward. But
So
yeah,
yeah,
it
you can
is a
reach
great
out
topic.
to Dr. Ashish Gupta on LinkedIn and you can ask this question and have a calibration call on that. I think he'll be happy to assist. Um, so that's about the line of questions. We still have 100 people tuned in to the webinar. So I'm sure that everybody has liked all the inputs. I thoroughly enjoyed
Yeah.
every bit of the conversation and all the inputs, Ashish.
Yeah.
Uh, I have partly read this book. I
Yeah.
encourage everybody who is into admissions and Playbook, or who is an owner or director responsible directly, indirectly for this. I encourage everybody to go through this Playbook, right? So thanks again to our guest speaker, Ashish, for his valuable insights. It was an insightful conversation, as mentioned. And thanks to our audience also for sticking with us for more than an hour. I
Exactly.
think it's the engagement of the audiences that we get makes the Illuminate by Meritto a valuable experience. We look forward to seeing you in our upcoming webinars. We have a lot more planned. Until then, thank you and continue doing excellence, drive excellence in whatever that you do. If you're in education, we are there to assist you all the time. So goodbye and Jai Hind.
Thank you. Just one last message. If anyone want my assistance, you can write to author Ashish Gupta. You just need add author ashishgupta@gmail.com. You can reach out to me or search Dr. Ashish Gupta on LinkedIn and I'll be happy to help you. Suraj, it was a pleasure talking to you and we are talking for more than 1 hour and we
Yeah,
can talk 2 more hours, right? So this is the
absolutely.
magic that has happened and I'm so happy. Still, we have 92, 93 people. We have only partially covered the topic and I'll suggest that we do a series of workshop for everyone's welfare. So let us plan it. And a big thanks to you and Merito for hosting this workshop, this
Thanks
webinar.
to you. Thanks to the audience.
Thanks a
Jai
lot.
Hind.
Jai Hind.